Ever felt like you were born on the wrong planet? Like you're surrounded by people who speak your language, but don't actually understand a single word you mean? You sit in a room, nodding along, smiling in the right places, saying the right things, while inside you're screaming because you can see exactly how hollow it all is. You watch people throw themselves into empty rituals as if their lives depend on it. They obsess over trends that will be forgotten in months. They turn brand logos into personal identities. They treat likes on a screen as if they're oxygen. And the strangest part, they believe it matters, really matters. Meanwhile, your mind is somewhere else entirely, processing every interaction in high definition. You see the puppet strings behind every desire, the marketing hooks inside every spontaneous choice, the evolutionary programming that runs every social ritual. You're not guessing, you know. And the worst part? You can't unsee it. It's like being the only sober person at a party where everyone else is drunk. Not on alcohol, but on illusions. They're laughing, singing, dancing, convinced they're having the time of their lives, and you're just standing there, watching the room spin, wondering how much longer you can pretend to be one of them. Arthur Schopenhauer, the philosopher who turned pessimism into an art form, saw this clearly. He once said, "The more unintelligent a man is, the less mysterious existence seems to him." He wasn't insulting people. He was describing a truth most never realize. Intelligence isn't always a gift. Often it's a curse wrapped in the disguise of a gift. The smarter you are, the less you can hide from the complexity, the chaos, the contradictions of existence. Every layer you peel back reveals another layer beneath. And the deeper you go, the harder it is to relate to people who stopped peeling a long time ago. Others can sleep peacefully inside simple stories and comfortable illusions. You can't. Your mind won't let you. You're stuck turning over questions that don't have answers, seeing problems that don't have solutions, noticing cracks in everything everyone else swears is solid. And that vision, it changes you. It makes solitude not just appealing, but necessary. It's not about hating people. It's about protecting yourself from the constant abrasion of shallow conversations, fake smiles, and mental small talk. When your nervous system processes life at a higher resolution, every meaningless exchange feels like static in your skull. Every shallow interaction feels like sandpaper on your thoughts. Every moment you pretend to care about the trivial feels like betrayal, not of them, but of yourself. So why does this happen? Why do the most capable minds, the ones who could challenge, elevate, even transform society, so often choose to step away from it instead? The answer isn't simple, but it starts with understanding the hidden cost of seeing the world too clearly. Here's the part society doesn't put in the brochure. It loves the idea of brilliant minds, but only if they're charming, social, and make everyone else feel comfortable. The reality? Most people don't actually want truth tellers. They want comfort givers. When was the last time a group thanked you for pointing out a hard truth? When did anyone celebrate the person who questioned the plan everyone else had already agreed on? It doesn't happen. Because groups run on consensus, not accuracy. And consensus depends on everyone nodding to the same version of reality, even if it's a lie. The crowd needs to believe their company is ethical, their political party is righteous, their lifestyle is optimal. Challenge that, even politely, even with facts. And you don't just disagree. You threaten the glue holding the group together, and the group will push back. Schopenhauer saw it. Mediocrity thrives in crowds because it's protected by them. Average minds seek safety in numbers. Thinking too much, asking too much, rocking the boat too hard, those things put you outside the circle. And once you're outside, you're a problem. For a highly intelligent person, this is a constant collision. Your brain spots inconsistencies without effort. You hear the emotional manipulation in speeches before the applause even starts. You recognize self-serving bias before the sentence is finished. And that ability, that precision, doesn't make you popular. It makes you dangerous. Because once you start asking the questions no one wants to answer, once you point out the cracks in the foundation everyone's standing on, you're not just the smartest person in the room, you're the threat to the room. That's why intelligent people so often feel like outsiders even when they're surrounded by people. It's not arrogance, it's cognitive incompatibility. You're watching a performance you can't take seriously and everyone else is invested in keeping the show going. The result? Exhaustion. Every interaction becomes a balancing act between truth and acceptability. Do you tell them what you really see and risk rejection? Or do you filter yourself into something smaller, quieter, more appropriate, and betray your own mind? Over time, that performance eats you alive. You ration your real thoughts. You hold back your actual personality. You water down your insights so they don't scare anyone. And slowly you start to feel like a ghost in your own life. Present, but not real. That's when isolation stops being a choice and starts being self-defense. Because here's the truth. For an intelligent mind, constant exposure to shallow thinking is like forcing a high-performance engine to idle in a parking lot. It works, but it's torture. And when you finally step away from the noise, you realize something liberating. The less you have to translate yourself to be understood, the more energy you have to actually live. Most people mistake this retreat for antisocial behavior. They think isolation means you've given up on connection. They couldn't be more wrong. Highly intelligent people aren't running from people. They're running from the cost of constant interaction. Every shallow exchange is a tax. Every fake smile is a withdrawal from the mental bank. Every "how's the weather?" when you want to talk about the nature of existence is another minute you'll never get back. Schopenhauer warned that endless socializing leaks mental energy like a cracked battery. It's not introversion in the casual sense. It's resource management. The brain simply can't do deep, original work when it's constantly forced to decode surface-level chatter. Deep thinkers need long, uninterrupted silences the way athletes need rest days. It's not weakness. It's the only way their mental muscles grow. But society doesn't get this. It sees solitude as a flaw to be fixed. Alone on a Friday night? Must be sad. Skipping the party? Must be antisocial. Choosing to work in quiet instead of networking? Must be missing out. No. You're recharging, you're clearing the static, you're giving your mind space to connect dots no one else can even see. But here's where it gets heavier. When your worldview is radically different from the majority, conversations don't just feel empty, they feel impossible. Schopenhauer compared it to speaking a rare language in a room where no one else understands it. You can keep talking, but you're essentially speaking to yourself. And that's a special kind of loneliness. Not the loneliness of being alone, but of being unreachable. You watch people get thrilled about things that seem trivial to you. You share something profound and get a shrug. You point out a hidden danger and get a joke in return. Eventually, you stop sharing. Not because you have nothing to say, but because it's like handing out gold coins to people who only value paper. It's not arrogance. It's self-preservation. Because there's another layer to this. Intelligent people feel more deeply, not less. Their minds process emotion with the same high resolution they process information. They pick up on hypocrisy before it's spoken aloud. They can sense manipulation in a single tone shift. And once you develop that radar, most social spaces feel like minefields. The average workplace drama? While everyone else picks sides, the intelligent observer sees the emotional immaturity driving the whole conflict. Office politics, friend group gossip, family feuds, all stripped of their drama and revealed as primitive status games. So they do the only sane thing left. They step out of the game entirely. Not to punish others, not to feel superior, but to protect their psychological independence, the ability to think and choose without the constant gravitational pull of other people's opinions. Once you see how easily the crowd reshapes thought, isolation stops looking like loneliness and starts looking like insurance. Because here's what most people don't realize. The group doesn't need to force you to conform. It doesn't have to threaten you or shame you. All it has to do is surround you long enough for your edges to wear down. You share an idea, the room goes quiet. You feel the sting of that silence, so you soften it next time. You voice a preference, someone laughs. You adjust your taste without even thinking. You question something sacred to the group, and you see the wall go up. So you learn to leave those thoughts unspoken. It happens in thousands of tiny moments until one day you realize your mind has been remodeled to fit a blueprint you never agreed to. Highly intelligent people see this process as it's happening, both in themselves and in others, and that awareness is terrifying. It's like watching someone edit the code of your operating system in real time. Schopenhauer called the crowd a corrupting force, not because people are evil, but because belonging is addictive. The human brain will trade truth for acceptance without hesitation, if it feels social exile approaching. And if you're not careful, you'll wake up one day fluent in the group's language, holding the group's beliefs, and unable to remember which ones were actually yours. That's why many intelligent people make the hard choice early. Step back before the corrosion starts. Protect their autonomy by controlling their exposure. Of course, society hates this. It says it celebrates uniqueness, but what it really means is be unique in a way that entertains us, not in a way that challenges us. You can be smart, as long as your intelligence flatters other people's egos. You can have insights, as long as they reinforce what the group already believes. You can think deeply, as long as you keep the conclusions to yourself. It's an impossible balance. Be yourself, but not too much. Speak truth, but make it pleasant. Stand out, but never stand apart. Eventually, the only way to stay sane is to stop playing. And here's where Schopenhauer's view becomes radical. Solitude isn't a retreat from life for the intelligent. It's their natural environment. Like a deep-sea creature brought to the surface, too much time in the shallow waters of group life will kill the mind built for depth. In solitude, the noise drops away. The mental static clears, thoughts sharpen, energy returns, creativity, the real kind, not the brainstorm by committee variety, comes rushing back. And this isn't about misanthropy. It's not about thinking everyone else is stupid. It's about knowing the conditions under which you perform at your best, and refusing to apologize for needing them. Most people think solitude is a lack of something, a gap to be filled. For the highly intelligent, it's the opposite. It's where the real work begins. Look at history's breakthroughs. Einstein didn't develop relativity while making small talk at a dinner party. Newton didn't discover gravity between rounds of polite conversation. Darwin didn't map the tree of life in a crowded cafe. They did it alone. Not because they hated people, but because silence was the only environment where their minds could move at full speed. Our culture doesn't understand this. It treats being alone like a problem to be solved. Endless notifications, stay connected campaigns, meetings for everything, all designed to keep you plugged into the collective at all times. And then we wonder why deep, original thought feels so rare. Schopenhauer understood. The crowd produces comfort, not clarity. Conformity, not creativity. If you want minds that can break the pattern, you have to let them work outside of it. Here's the real cost of ignoring that truth. Intelligent people forced into constant interaction burn out fast. They either go quiet, hiding their real thoughts to survive, or they disconnect entirely, leaving society without their perspective. And the irony? Society then complains about a lack of thinkers while punishing the exact conditions thinking requires. Isolation for the intelligent isn't about avoiding others. It's about reclaiming ownership over their own mental space. In solitude, there's no need to translate every thought, dilute every insight, or pretend interest in what drains you. You operate at your natural frequency, and that's where the best work, the deepest clarity, and the most original ideas happen. But there's a cost. You will be misunderstood. People will call you aloof, antisocial, arrogant. They'll project loneliness onto you even if you've never felt more alive. This is the price of protecting your mind from corrosion. The courage to be misread, to let others think what they will while you keep your focus on what matters. Highly intelligent people eventually face a choice: stay accessible, fit the mold, and lose themselves in the slow erosion of groupthink. Or step back, embrace solitude, and build a life they can actually stand behind, even if few people understand it. Schopenhauer's answer was clear: choose the environment where you can thrive, even if it's not the one the crowd approves of. Because in the end, the most powerful person in any room isn't the one speaking the loudest, collecting the most applause, or winning the most allies. It's the one who doesn't need any of it to feel complete. And that kind of power, quiet, grounded, unshakable, can't be taken from you. So protect your mind. Protect your solitude. Not because the world doesn't need you, but because it needs you at your best. And that version of you lives in the quiet, far from the noise.